Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. By viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Tuesday, December 21st. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Tonight, the White House is putting in motion a plan to respond to the incredibly contagious variant of the COVID-19 virus. This comes as Americans are planning family get-togethers and other Christmas events in the days ahead. We'll see the scene at San Diego International Airport in a moment, but first, let's hear from Daryl Forges with President Biden's new actions on everything from testing to helping out our hospitals.
With a new surge comes a new plan. The White House taking extra measures against COVID-19.
We all want this to be over, but we're still in it. And this is a critical moment. We also have more tools than we've ever had before.
Among the new initiatives, 500 million free at-home rapid tests to be made available to Americans next month, new or expanded vaccination and testing sites with increased access, the deployment of 1,000 service members and additional medical teams in January and February to hospitals overwhelmed by the surge.
With putting up about 20,000 testing sites, with getting 500 million tests very quickly, literally within the next few days.
The president also reassuring people who are vaccinated, but also warning those who are unvaccinated about the potential threat of severe illness.
If you're not fully vaccinated, you have good reason to be concerned. You're at a high risk of getting sick. And if you get sick, you're likely to spread it to others. Almost everyone who has died from COVID-19 in the past many months has been unvaccinated.
The White House moving quickly as the Omicron variant surges nationwide. The CDC projects 73% of new cases across the country are Omicron.
If you are vaccinated and follow the precautions that we all know well, you should feel comfortable celebrating Christmas and the holidays as you planned it.
Daryl Forges, KPBS News.
To the San Diego airport now, where the number of passengers is up this holiday season. As KPBS reporter John Carroll shows us, the big crowd means important reminders for those taking to the air.
The airport is a busy place on most any day. It's the third busiest in California. This has been a rebound year from the darkest days of the pandemic. The stretch from December 17th through January 3rd will be the busiest this year.
This year, we're anticipating seeing about 1 million people coming through the airport during that time.
Nicole Hall says thus far the airport has seen 25% more people pass through in 2021 than in 2020. But when compared to 2019, about 20% less passengers will have traveled through this year. 4 days out from Christmas, and everything here at San Diego International seems to be going along pretty smoothly. But not just here. Bill Dingman left Watertown, New York at 3 this morning to see his son for the holidays.
The crowds weren't too bad flying that early, and it was a great flight.
Smooth sailing for Jody Christofferson as well. She's here from Madison, Wisconsin to see an old friend.
It was a piece of cake. It was not crowded at all.
But with the Omicron variant spreading rapidly through the country, we wanted to know if any passengers had any concerns about traveling during this time.
Anytime you're traveling and with crowds and things, so just take some precautions. But for the most part, you can't live in fear.
I'm double vaxxed and boosted and wash my hands constantly and wear my mask. That's all you can do.
Nicole Hall says you should arrive 2 hours before your departure time if you're flying domestically, 3 hours for international. And remember, masks must be worn at all times while on airport property. If you forget to bring one, you can buy them at these vending machines or get one for free at any airport information counter. John Carroll, KPBS News.
Students at one of San Diego's biggest universities won't be going back to campus after the holidays. UCSD is pivoting to remote learning. The president of the UC system put out the alert. All UC schools will go back to online classes for the first couple of weeks in January. A return to in-person learning will vary based on the COVID situation at each campus. Student travel and the Omicron variant are driving the decision. UCSD is trying to get its students protected from the virus, and there's now an incentive that will help classmates in need. KPBS reporter Melissa May describes the challenge and the reward.
On December 1st, UC San Diego launched its Boosting Out for Basic Needs Chancellor Challenge.
As we were preparing to move into winter break and thinking a bit about how to best engage our students in activities that will ensure their health and well-being and the health and well-being of those that they're going to be visiting with.
Allison Satterland is the Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs and describes why it's important for students to get booster shots.
We see more and more family members and colleagues and friends negatively impacted by the virus. And so ultimately getting boosted provides yet another layer of protection against that.
The goal is to get 10,000 students boosted before the end of 2021. And the president of the Graduate and Professional Student Association, Brian Lattimore, describes Chancellor Pradeep Khosla's pledge.
The chancellor will be donating $50,000 to the Basic Needs Hub, and every 10,000 students after that will be another donation to the Basic Needs Hubs.
Undergraduate Student Body President Manu Agni says the Basic Needs Hub is a student center resource on campus that helps provide better food and housing security for UCSD students.
So some of the programs that they offer include the Triton Food Pantry, grocery shuttle program to help bring students from campus and the community to more affordable and culturally inclusive grocery and dining options, and then programs for housing assistance.
As of today, more than 9,000 students have already gotten the booster.
This is kind of an extra incentive in our Triton holiday spirit of being selfless. So, being selfless and caring about our community. The first is to get boosted to protect people from COVID. And the second is, we have this challenge going on as well that will provide a little bit of extra funding in the holiday season for the Basic Needs Hub.
According to Lattimore, UCSD has had under a 1% COVID infection rate since classes resumed on campus.
This booster is another step in a good direction that has given us results that we're really proud about when we see the actual tangible impact that it has on the students and the faculty and the staff, and the low rates of infection and COVID that we see on campus.
While home for the holidays, students can also participate in the challenge by getting a booster near them. A student can upload their information into My Student Chart. Melissa May, KPBS News.
Even with the demand for COVID testing, fewer customers are hitting brick-and-mortar drugstores for their prescription needs. And as a result, Rite Aid is announcing a round of closures. The company is closing 63 stores, which it says will save them $25 million each year. That equates to 2% of its stores. We don't know yet if any of those stores are in San Diego County. Another drugstore, CVS, has also announced closures of 900 of its stores over the next 3 years. We're hearing a lot about the spike in new cases linked to the Omicron variant. It's a cause for concern, but Dr. Anthony Fauci says it's important to follow not just the numbers, but the severity of these cases.
If you really want to look at the true impact on society, it's much more important to see who gets sick and who doesn't, who requires hospitalization or doesn't. So if we have a larger number of people getting infected, but the degree of severity is very, very low, that would be very important. And if you just count the numbers of infections, you may get a misrepresentation as to what is actually going on. That's the reason why you're seeing the shift now in thinking. You obviously want to pay attention to the number of infections because they could be the forerunner of severity. But if you have a lot of infections and less severity, it's much more important to focus on hospitalizations.
There's a lot of renewed interest right now in resources for COVID-19. Local case numbers, testing locations, and of course our local reporting. We have it all at kpbs.org. Just find the Tracking COVID-19 page under the News section. Today, Kellogg's cereal workers announced they will end an 11-week strike after reaching a deal with the company. Here in San Diego, workers in a different field are just getting started. Katie Alvarado tells us about a work stoppage that affects one of our most essential services.
Over 200 sanitation workers employed by Republic Services are on strike. They're taking shifts, picketing outside Republic offices at 5 locations across the county after contract negotiations between their union, Teamsters Local 542, and the company broke down. They've been working without a contract since November.
At some point, you kick the dog too many times, it's going to turn around and bite you.
Manny Puma, a driver for the company, was among the picketers in Chula Vista Tuesday morning. He says rain or shine, residents have been able to count on them, including during this pandemic, but the company has taken them for granted.
We weren't able to sit home and not go to the office. We were up there ground zero, picking up garbage every single day.
Republic is the second largest waste management company in the country. Just days ago, they reached agreements with workers in Orange County who were on strike for over a week. The union says the company CEO earns 154 times the pay of their average employee. Puma says being on strike is not easy, especially the week of Christmas.
We know what the sacrifice is, and we're willing to do it, and we'll be here 24 hours a day to make our stance.
Meanwhile, trash in San Diego's Claremont Mesa neighborhood and the city of Chula Vista is piling up.
It's nasty. It's disgusting, of course.
Walid Alaya, the owner of Bambino's Pizza, has been at this location for 5 years and says he's never seen the trash overflowing like this.
They usually pick it up, I think, every day. I never seen it like that.
We reached out to Republic Services to ask how long customers were going to have to deal with this. They sent us a statement that reads in part, "We continue to negotiate in good faith to achieve a fair and competitive labor contract. We are working hard to resume normal service as quickly as possible, and we thank our customers for their patience and understanding." Puma says most of the striking workers live and work in Chula Vista and feel bad for those who depend on them.
We apologize for that, and as soon as we get back to work, and we want to get back to work as soon as possible, we're going to clean this whole city up, and we're ready to go.
Chula Vista officials say they're getting updates from Republic and look forward to regular collection services resuming as soon as possible. Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
A long overdue community plan for Barrio, Logan is now city law. San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria formally signed the update today. It replaces a 43-year-old blueprint and is intended to address environmental justice issues in the San Diego neighborhood. The goal is to protect the residents from noise and bad air quality while preserving the working port. An updated plan was previously adopted in 2013, but it was repealed by voters less than a year later in a ballot referendum. San Diego hired its first chief race and equity officer over the summer, but questions remain about what she will do. iNewsSource investigative reporter Anissa Durham tells us what's next for Kim Desmond.
Kim Desmond says, like much of the U.S., San Diego has not solved systemic racism and is working to address disparities. But months into her new role as the city's new race and equity office leader, her exact goals are still unclear.
Visioned equitable outcomes in every system and structure in our country. And so a typical day looks like, for me, listening and learning, especially in the context of me being new to this particular city, is listening and learning to various stakeholders.
iNewsSource interviewed Desmond at City Hall and spoke with local advocates about the new position. Many are skeptical about the changes Desmond can make to deeply rooted problems, things like San Diego's homeless crisis and racial profiling of Black and Latino residents. So far, Desmond has met with more than a dozen city departments and is reviewing city policies. She reports to Mayor Todd Gloria. For KPBS, I'm iNewsSource investigative reporter Anissa Durham.
iNewsSource is an independently funded nonprofit partner of KPBS. Earlier, we heard from KPBS reporter John Carroll about the travel scene this week at the airport. Across Southern California, COVID is forcing some people to reconsider their plans. Christine Lazar talked with those who say they don't want to risk it.
There's too many unknowns. too many unknowns here.
Feeling a little like a Grinch, Wendy Bruns decided to cancel her family's travel plans to see her parents in Las Vegas for the Christmas break. Both her mom and dad are seniors, and her dad is immunocompromised.
I don't want to have that weight of, oh yeah, one of us brought it to you.
There's also the issue of her son's school policy on travel outside the state.
Because their school requires a quarantine period after they return from out of state, we're not going to be able to go.
Bruns is certainly not alone. Travel agent Melissa Wu says many of her clients are rethinking their holiday travel plans.
So I got a request on Friday. Melissa, can you tell me what the cancellation policy is on the request? We're going to cancel the trip. Today, I've had 2 requests for one for cancellation and one for someone who wants to know how close to their trip can they cancel.
Dr. Thomas Yadigar is a pulmonary critical care physician at Providence Cedars-Sinai Medical Center.
We didn't make any vacation plans for the winter holiday.
Fearing a winter surge, the doctor has also canceled outdoor gatherings with vaccinated friends and family. We asked him, should we do the same?
But it really becomes an individual choice, looking at their risk profile and having a conversation with their physician. And I do have certain patient population, which is very high risk. Those are patients who have cancer and undergoing chemotherapy or are immunosuppressed. For those patients, I advise them to avoid, those types of high-risk exposures.
Wu says the travel industry is usually consumer-friendly, but it also expects travelers to be savvier than they were at the start of the pandemic.
Now, airlines are waiving cancellation fees. They are giving you credits for up to a year, but hotels with non-refundable policies are being much less flexible than they were before.
That was Christine Lazar reporting. A major sports league says it won't be sending its players to China for the upcoming Winter Olympics. Today, the National Hockey League announced the decision, and it comes just hours after the NHL paused its regular season due to concerns about the virus. The league is reeling right now as COVID cases pile up, with more than 40 games postponed in the past week. The San Diego State Aztecs are hoping for a happy trip back home tonight. They're playing in the Frisco Bowl against the University of Texas San Antonio. A win would give the team 12 wins, the most ever by an SDSU football team in a single season. After 2 years of playing away from home, the Aztecs will be back in San Diego next year to open the brand new Snapdragon Stadium in Mission Valley. We're still expecting rain later this week and through the Christmas holiday. Mark Mancuso has the forecast.
Here's a check on our weather headlines. Our gray skies will be sticking around for the next several days, and looks like the most significant rain comes in with our atmospheric river event. Now it looks like it's coming in Thursday night into Friday morning. That's when we'll see the most significant rain in our area. Looks like snow levels will be fairly high. Any significant snows would be up above 6,500 feet. So if you are traveling up through the higher terrain, main concerns will be the wet roads, locally heavy downpours, and reduced visibilities and low clouds and fog. After that moves by, some showers and cool air lingers over the weekend. For tonight, cloudy skies. Our low temperature right around 50 degrees, and you can see the clouds blanketing the region from Oceanside to Barrio Springs and right down through Mount Laguna. And with our blanket of clouds, don't see a real big spread in the temperatures. During the day Wednesday, well, we'll still have the clouds around, but we'll stay dry. Up the coast, we do see the rain, and as that plume of moisture eases south, the rain will edge closer and closer. Looking at the forecast for tomorrow, again, gray skies overhead. And there you can see our temperatures hovering in the low to mid-60s. Barrio Springs, the mild spot at 70. Looking ahead, Thursday night into Friday, that's when we'll see the plume of moisture right overhead. That's when we see our heavier precipitation. So the rain's coming in Thursday night into Friday. Could be heavy. As we take you into the interior sections, again, the rain increases Thursday night into Friday up into the mountain regions. Very windy and wet on Friday. Wind subsides Saturday. And as we take you out to the deserts, we'll see some rain here too Friday, but drier over the weekend. Rainfall amounts range from about 3/4 of an inch to close to 3 inches in the mountains. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Mark Mancuso.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, the president's plan to combat the Omicron surge and ship COVID tests to millions of Americans. That's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
The holiday spirit of giving was on full display today. A local hunger relief organization reached out to families having a tough time. KPBS reporter Melissa May was there.
Right back here is okay? All right.
Feeding San Diego held a special holiday food distribution thanks to a large turkey donation from Cargill.
It's so nice to have the extra help and the support for the holidays.
Rebecca Brown and her family live in Tierra Santa.
Times are a little tough right now, so it always helps anything we're able to get.
Her husband is in the Navy and will be able to enjoy a yummy holiday meal with their 4 children because of this food donation.
Super, super grateful. My husband's home for Christmas this year. We didn't have him last year, so we're super excited to have a fancy meal to make.
Besides a 16 to 22 pound turkey, about 500 families are getting stuffing and gravy to enjoy with it.
There's a huge need right now. We're seeing like a 20% increase across all of our distributions.
Allison Glatter is the marketing and communications consultant for Feeding San Diego and describes why more families need help feeding their loved ones.
The moratorium gone, the gas prices going up, food prices, all of it, like we can definitely tell. And also the holidays, people need to spend a little extra to try to hopefully give their kids gifts or, whatever it is they need to travel. So hopefully at least this can help alleviate one worry and have food on the table.
Events like this could not run without the help of volunteers. El Chera Ayad has been volunteering with Feeding San Diego for almost a year and a half.
Just the connection with the people and seeing their faces, it's priceless. You don't know the feeling until you actually do it, but it's just heartwarming. Happy holidays! Happy holidays!
If you're experiencing food insecurity or would like to donate or volunteer with Feeding San Diego, go to feedingsandiego.org. Melissa May, KPBS News.
From the front of the house to the back, it's been a year of opportunities and challenges for San Diego's food scene. As we wrap up 2021, KPBS is revisiting some of our best original reporting, and that includes the debate over parking versus parklets. In May, Andrew Bowen caught up with local restaurant owners trying to make it work.
So this was a parking space prior to the pandemic. A lot of our employees parked here.
Tammy Peel walks me through the patio dining space at her North Park restaurant, One Door North.
Once we closed, indoor dining, we decided to make this an outdoor space for people to enjoy and, we could continue to be open.
This lot used to provide 12 parking spaces for employees' cars. Now it can accommodate up to 80 paying customers. Peel also put tables and chairs on 4 street parking spaces. She says without converting parking to dining space, she likely would have gone out of business.
And we really wanted to do everything that we could to keep our employees employed, and this allowed us to limp along so that we could continue our business, as things began to open up even more.
Parking is a sensitive subject in North Park. In 2019, the city proposed removing street parking to create protected bike lanes. A group called Save 30th Street Parking sued the city to stop the project. A judge allowed it to proceed anyway, but the controversy underscores how passionate some San Diegans are about parking. Before the pandemic, Peel says employees would complain about trouble finding a parking spot. But now, even with less parking available,
I don't think I've heard about a parking complaint since we've reopened and everybody has been back to working consistently.
Over the years, businesses and residents have fought hard for parking in virtually every San Diego neighborhood. But when the city council voted to extend outdoor dining permits last week, no one called into the meeting to ask for their parking spaces back.
There is kind of this misconception that, if parking in front of my store, if I don't have that space, I'm going to be losing business.
Michael Trimble is executive director of the Gaslamp Quarter Association. For the past year, the city has been closing 5th Avenue to cars in the afternoons and evenings. Trimble says rather than creating problems, the change has solved them. It's more walkable, there's no double parking, and the police and fire departments can get to emergencies faster.
The loss of parking really has not been a real issue because there is almost thousands of spots, like close to 3,000 spots within walking distance of the gas lamp quarter.
The Gas Lamp Quarter Association has been planning for a fully pedestrianized Fifth Avenue promenade for years. Originally, city officials thought it would cost $40 million and take up to 8 years to get done. But once again, COVID-19 forced them to think differently.
Everyone got the outdoor dining. They got the exposure to eat on the street. We got to close the street and show them that it really does work and that the public wants it. And really, it sped up the project, I would say, by at least 5 years.
But while the city works to reclaim the gas lamp quarter for pedestrians, some fear other neighborhoods will be left behind.
Everything is wood. We smoke everything with our oak. And this is a brisket that we're cooking.
Carlos Stantz is the owner of Bow-Legged Barbecue in the Mount Hope neighborhood. He also turned his back parking lot into a dining space, and it's been a huge success.
This kind of goes with the barbecue flavor in the backyard, and we wanted to have an experience so when you're outside, you hear the good music and have a good atmosphere for eating your food.
Still, this part of Market Street isn't pedestrian friendly. Cars go too fast, and there aren't enough trees or crosswalks. Stantz came up with his own resources to keep his business afloat during the pandemic, but he'd love to see the city invest in Mount Hope like it has in North Park and the gas lamp.
We're paying our sales taxes, we're paying our, payroll taxes, we're putting young people to work, so I think it's important for us for the longevity to have that kind of support. It would be welcome.
Most restaurants have had their outdoor dining permits extended to July 2022. In the meantime, the city is working to make the program permanent. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following: by viewers like you. Thank you.